Doc Rivers is out as the head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers after just 1 year of the Kawhi Leonard and Paul George pairing. Now, the Clippers are going to immediately start searching for their next head coach as they are in ultimate win-now mode. Doc Rivers spent 7 seasons with the Los Angeles Clippers and for the most part was pretty successful as he finished with an above 500 record every single year in those 7 years with the Los Angeles Clippers, just missing the playoffs once. Everybody remembers Lob City, and they remember, of course, his past year's team. But let's look at the past 5 years with Doc Rivers and what he did with this team. And while he succeeded in the regular season, while, again, being above 500 every single year, as I mentioned before, and even exceeding expectations in 2018, 2019, and even a little bit in 2017, 2018, he was still either a first-round exit or missed the playoffs every year except this past season when he still underperformed in the playoffs as a second-round exit with 2 of the top, 15 players in the NBA in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Now, the thing is, with Doc being gone, they got to bring someone in new, and they got to bring him in real fast because this team, as I just mentioned, they are in ultimate win-now mode with Kawhi and Paul George both being on these 2-year deals that they can opt out of here soon if they don't start winning. They've got Patrick Beverley, who is an experienced point guard. Lou Williams off the bench is an older guy as well. And, I've got JaMychal Green in the starting 5 for now, but we can assume that might be taken by Montrezl Harrell or somebody else they pick up in free agency. Now, today's show, I'm going to break down my top 5 candidates to replace Doc Rivers as the Clippers' next head coach, but I want you to give me your top candidate in the comment section below. Just shout it out, whoever you got, whatever the craziest name that comes to your head is, and whoever you think should be coaching Kawhi and Paul George next season, let me know in the comment section. We're going to start this one off with what many might expect to be a surprise in Phil Jackson. Now, he has 4-1 odds to become the next head coach, which is tied for the 3rd best odds, really, on the list, and I was very surprised to see his name pop up, but considering the fact that he spent a majority of his career in Los Angeles coaching the Lakers with Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, maybe he wants to get back into the coaching game, and if he does, why not go to a team where he knows he can win? Now, Phil Jackson has more career accolades than any other coach in NBA history. The dude has done it all, and he's done it both for teams like Michael Jordan and the Bulls and Kobe Bryant and Shaq in the Lakers. When he was with the Bulls, he won 6 NBA championships. Both of them were three-peats from 91, 92, and 93, and then won again 96, 97, and 98 in Los Angeles, just going a few years in between without a ring on his finger. He finished with a 73% win percentage for the Chicago Bulls. Then he goes to the Lakers and proves he can win there as well with 5 more NBA championships and a 67% win percentage. His final year coming in the final year of Kobe Bryant one of the final years, of Kobe Bryant back in 2011. And so now everybody's kind of asking the question, should Phil Jackson actually come out of retirement? And you guys can respond with your yeses or your nos. I'm going to say no. What more can this guy achieve, right? He's the winningest NBA coach. He has won more championships than anybody. He has more playoff wins than anybody. I think Phil Jackson is just fine with chilling out in Los Angeles or wherever the heck he is, chilling out on a boat, probably doing some yoga, doing some light reading. He doesn't need to come back to the NBA and try to play in this new style of the NBA and prove himself even more. He's already done it all, and he's coached for 20 years. Phil, take your seat. You're okay. You don't need to come out of retirement. We all know how good of a head coach you are. Now let's go to a guy who I think is a little bit more realistic, and apparently the odd makers do as well, as he has a 5-2 odds to become the next head coach of the Clippers. It's Tyronn Lue, the man who is already in high demand from other NBA teams that have coaching positions open, like the Philadelphia 76ers. And as an assistant with the Clippers, he kind of already has that, built up relationship with the players. And there's really, it would make a lot of sense to just bring him right up into Doc Rivers' place. And listen, Ty Lue has had his chance as NBA head coach before. 2015, 2016, he won an NBA title coming in halfway through with LeBron James and Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving and the Cavaliers. Next year, he loses the finals, and then he loses it again in 2018. And then 2018-19, when there's no LeBron and there's no Kyrie, he starts off 0-6 and gets fired, which I think was unfair because when you go from a team that has LeBron James that's led by an injury-prone Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson, of course you're going to start 0-6. It's a big difference. So now he's gotten into the assistant role. He's had that relationship built, and I think he's ready to jump up to the head coaching position. This is CBS Sports on the potential Tyronn Lue promotion. He says Lue is one of the candidates to keep an eye on for this job. Lue is already part of the team, which means, crucially, he has a relationship with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, something that will be a key factor as the Clippers are in win-now mode with their 2 stars. And if you're a Clippers fan, or maybe you're a fan of any other team in the NBA, because I feel like Clippers have kind of become the most hated team in the NBA, then you can go to chatsports.com/NBA jerseys and get these authentic Nike jerseys that are shipping for free for a limited time only. Whoever your favorite player is or your favorite team, you can pick them up. Maybe you get this Giannis jersey, and let's say he leaves in 2021. Guess what? Fanatics does jersey insurance where they can get it replaced with a player of your choice. And maybe you go with Luka Doncic, the safer pick, since he'll be in Dallas for the next 25-plus years. Or maybe you want to go with LeBron James now that he's in the NBA Finals. You're going to want to get that gear while you can. Again, that's chatsports.com/NBA jerseys, shipping for free for a limited time only. And some of these jerseys, not all of them, but some, are even 25% off. So go to that link and check them out today. Let's go to the guy that I'm actually picking as not the guy that I think is going to get the job, but the guy that I think deserves the job in Chauncey Billups. He has the 3rd best odds to become the next head coach at 4-1, tied with Phil Jackson there. And Chris Haynes has said he wants a head coaching position. Now, he's been in the studio, he's been in the broadcast booth trying to do what I do here on Chat Sports and broadcast all the viewers since 2014, but now he's looking to jump up into coaching. And here's why I'm going to go with Chauncey Billups. Because why stick with these same old stale coaches like Tyronn Lue and Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson who have had their chance? Why not go with someone exciting like Chauncey Billups, or like the Nets did with Steve Nash? I think it could be a lot more fun. Here's what Chris Haynes had to say, particularly on Chauncey Billups, Mr. Big Shot himself. He said, former NBA champion and 5-time All-Star point guard Chauncey Billups is interested in pursuing an NBA head coaching job. Billups, who's 43, has toyed with the idea of leading a team from the sidelines since retiring in 2014, but now it appears he's fully invested in making the jump a reality. Now, Billups has a really just super colorful NBA career. He spent 482 games with the Detroit Pistons, of course, won a championship there, did great things. Same with the Denver Nuggets. Didn't win the championship, but he spent a lot of time with them. A lot of time in Minnesota as well, which I didn't know. But one thing I do want to point out, and this is what I want to highlight, he's been around the Clippers before. He only played in 51 games for them because it was a very short, he was very injury prone, it was near the end of his career, but he knows the organization. He's been in LA. He's comfortable and familiar there. Might just make some sense to bring him right up into the head coaching position. Now, he also spent some time with Boston, Toronto, and New York in his NBA career. Boston, Toronto both early on, New York at the very end. So he's been around the NBA. He knows what good coaching looks like. So this dude, I think he's ready to make the jump. Now, maybe it's not a win-now team like the Los Angeles Clippers. Maybe he goes somewhere like the Sixers or like the Thunder that could use somebody to build up with. But I'd like to see him with the Clippers. Now, there's a lot of former players that could jump into head coaching positions or that have already. If you had to pick one of these former NBA point guards to be the next head coach of your team, which one are you picking? Are you picking Chauncey Billups, who really hasn't had any experience but has been around the NBA for so long? Steve Nash, who spent some time with the Golden State Warriors and is now the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets? Are you going to go with Tyronn Lue, who's been a head coach before and an assistant in a good position? Or are you going to go Jason Kidd? If I had to rank them 1 to 4, 1, I'm going Steve Nash. 2, Chauncey Billups. 3, Tyronn Lue. And 4, Jason Kidd. Now, whoever gets hired for the Clippers, I can guarantee you we're going to have that breaking news here on Chat Sports. And if you're not subscribed and you don't have your notifications on, you're probably going to miss it because we do a lot of videos here. We do NFL, NBA. I think we're even doing some presidential candidate kind of stuff here on Chat Sports. So whatever you want, we've got it all for you right here, right now. So scroll down. The big red button, if you click it, it turns gray. We want the red buttons to turn gray to make sure you have subscribed. Let's go to Mike D'Antoni. He's got the 5th best odds to become the next head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. And listen, this guy is an offensive guru. He was with the Houston Rockets. Obviously, they will not renew his contract. The 76ers have already said they have substantial interest, and he has all the support from Joel Embiid to become the next head coach for the Los Angeles Clippers. Listen, I like D'Antoni. I think he's done a good job with Houston in getting them to where they are offensively, but I'm not convinced this guy can win a championship. He's had his chances before. He's been with multiple teams. He's never proven that he can win it all or prove that he can win consistently. So if I was an NBA executive, which, hey, if you want to hire me, somebody call me up and I'll be an executive for your team, I would hire D'Antoni as an assistant to coach my offense, not so much a head coach to take over the entire team. Now, you can see how good he was with the Rockets right here as they were second in points per game, first in three-pointers made per game, second in free throws per game, and sixth best offensive rating. He knows what he's doing with an offense. But does he know what he's doing with the defense? Does he know what he's doing with the team as a whole? Because he hasn't shown me enough to prove that he can be a head coach of a winning organization. Let's go to a guy that we are all very familiar with, and maybe you're tired of listening to him on the broadcast and just want to see him go to a head coaching role. It's Jeff Van Gundy. Surprisingly, the second best odds to become the next head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers at 7-2, so right behind current assistant Tyronn Lue. And remember, this guy coached the Knicks for 7 years. He was with the Houston Rockets for a long time as well, and this may be a hot take, but I like Jeff Van Gundy on the broadcast. I think he actually does a very good job of breaking down what's happening in the game, and sometimes he says some stupid stuff, sure, but he knows what he's talking about when it comes to NBA basketball. I do think if he wants to be a head coach somewhere, he could easily get a job. However, this has been going on for so long. We have seen so many years since he's been out, him potentially coming back and then not coming back and then coming back and then not coming back. It's probably just not going to happen at this point, and I'm okay with that. Now, Van Gundy in the playoffs, 44-44, a perfect 500 record, but he never won an NBA championship. He went to the Eastern Conference Championships and got the Knicks to the finals at one point, but the dude has just never won, and especially not in the current NBA. The last team he coached was the 2006-2007 Rockets. The NBA has changed so much since then. Let's look at this. You got Rafer Alston and T-Mac, Shane Battier, Yao Ming, and Chuck Hayes. Those were your mainstays on your team at the time. This starting five was averaging 4 3-pointers per game. 4! In today's NBA, if you make 4 3-pointers in a game, you're going to get blown out. So I'm not 100% convinced Jeff Van Gundy can become an NBA coach in today's NBA and really prove that he can win in the way the NBA is operating now. But maybe I'm wrong. So I asked you at the top of the show. I want to go back to it now that I've shown you my top 5 candidates. Who is your pick to be the Clippers' next head coach? Is it Phil Jackson? Is it Jeff Van Gundy? Is it Tyronn Lue? Is it somebody else like a Chauncey Billups or a Mark Jackson? Let me know in the comment section. And before we get out of here and before I let you guys continue to make your votes in the comment section, I want to let you know about the other candidates that are in the mix for this position. Of course, there's Mark Jackson. Listen, guys, it could be the year 2099. And Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy are still going to be in contention for some kind of head coaching position. Brett Brown, of course, just got let go by the Philadelphia 76ers. He has 8-1 odds to become the next coach. Sam Cassell is currently an assistant, but he's 1 ring lower than Tyronn Lue, so I'd be surprised if he jumps above Tyronn Lue to get that head coaching position. The other Van Gundy, Stan, is also in the mix. I don't expect him to get the job. I like Kenny Atkinson. I'm kind of surprised he's not getting more consideration in NBA head coaching circles because I think he was unfairly pushed out by the Brooklyn Nets, but he doesn't have very good odds. Jason Kidd, the other LA team's assistant, is also in the mix. And, of course, Becky Hammon is going to try to make history to become the first female head coach, but she has the worst odds at 14-1. So that's all your candidates. Let me know who you got as the Clippers' next head coach for next year.